Right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good whatever, depending on where you are in the world. I hope you're good. So, share, but we're going to look at the human eye. Ne? The human eye is pretty simple. The basics that you need to understand is that we are having three layers in the human eye that you need to understand. So, the first one that I'm going to talk about is this one that is called the sclera. What is the sclera? The sclera is the white part that you see on the human eye. It's this one. And then on this type of diagram is this one. It's this part. And then when you go pele with the sclera, we are giving rise only to this portion. Ne? Only to this portion. We're giving rise to what we call a cornea. A cornea. Okay? And then the cornea itself, on the diagram, this diagram it doesn't show, but the cornea on it by itself, it's protected by what we call the conjunctiva. Conjunctiva. Okay, those are the simple things that we need to understand, right? And now the second layer that you need to understand is what we call the chorioid. Chorioid. Ne? Now the chorioid, you can't see it from this view, okay? But what you need to understand is that the chorioid is the one that is going to give rise to what we call the ciliary body and the iris. The only thing that comes from the chorioid that you will see is this part. And this part is the one that we call the iris. Okay, so let me write it down. So the chorioid is this part, and as it goes kopile there, it's going to give rise to what we call the ciliary body. And the ciliary body, it has ciliary muscles. Okay, and then now the ciliary body is going to now go down again to give rise to what we call the iris. I hope you can see it there. Yeah? Okay, sharp. Now the last part that we need to understand is this one. This one is called the retina. The retina, that is where our receptors are found. So the receptors are called, we have receptors called rods, and the other ones are called cones. I hope you can see that. Okay, so the rods and the cones, they are highly concentrated on the yellow spot. Okay, and then they are not in the blind spot. You will never find this rods and cones on the blind spot. You'll only find them, or they are highly concentrated on the yellow spot. So remember the basics. To understand the human eye, you need to understand this few basics, this few layers. So we have few layers. This is the sclera, chorioid, and retina. From the sclera, you know that the sclera, it gives birth to the cornea, which is this part, the cornea yakopele. Okay? You can't see it here, but it's there. So it's the cornea, like that, yakopele. So the cornea itself is protected by what we call a conjunctiva, which is this one. Ne? Sharp cafeta. This second one, the chorioid. The chorioid is this one. The chorioid is dark in color. It has pigments on it. Ne? It's the one that is going to give rise to what we know as a ciliary body. The ciliary body, it has ciliary muscles, right? And also our chorioid is going to give rise to the iris. This is the iris. Ne? Simple. And then the last layer that you need to understand is going to be this yellow one. So this yellow one is called a retina. The retina has receptors. The receptor is rods and cones. They are highly concentrated on the yellow spot. You will never find them on the blind spot. Simple as that. Okay, and then after here we are going to do accommodation and pupillary mechanism. But before we do that, people need to understand what is going on here. Let's name this. So this is called the optic nerve. Okay, it's what we call the optic nerve, right? And the yellow one, We said it is the retina. That's where we have our rods and cones. And then the purple one, or this one, is the one that we call the choroid. The choroid. So the choroid it has pigment inside, melanin pigment inside. Why? So that it can trap light. And also this choroid is going to give rise to the ciliary body, ciliary muscle, and also the iris. Okay, and now we have this one. This one is called the sclera. So the sclera, when you look at someone's eye, when you see the white part, that's what we call the sclera. Okay, and then here, when we go to the front, the sclera is going to convert into a cornea, and the cornea is protected by a layer that we call the conjunctiva. So there are things that legit protect the eye, right? So here we can see the eyelashes. The eyelashes, definitely they do protect the eye. And then we have tears. We have tears inside the eye. So these tears, they have enzymes inside. These enzymes, they are aimed at killing foreign particles that are inside this eye. Okay, they have enzymes inside there, the tears. Okay, another thing that do protect the eye, it's I'm gonna do this. Kunja, what do we call this? We call it the eyelid. Ne? We call it the eyelid. This is also protecting the eye. So another thing that is protecting the eye is the ball and socket of the skull that is found on the skull, right? And then inside there we are going to have fat tissues that are going to also protect the eye. They'll be rounding the eye like that. So right now we are going to do what we call pupillary mechanism. So let's start with pupillary mechanism. Okay, so pupillary mechanism, you see by the name itself, pupil. You can't see. Let me do this. Okay, pupillary. Okay, this pupillary mechanism, it tells you that it's happening on the pupil. What is the pupil? So the pupil is this part. That's the pupil. Okay, that's the pupil. And now you need to understand or know how to differentiate between a pupil and what we call a lens. This one is a lens. Okay? And then here, the retinal one is what we call the suspensory ligaments. Okay? And then this suspensory ligaments, they are attached to the ciliary body. Ciliary body. Ne? Pretty simple. Okay, going back to pupillary mechanism. Now, pupillary mechanism, it tells you that we are going to deal with the pupil size. Okay, that's what we do. So there are two muscles that people need to understand. So on the iris, we have two muscles. So the first one is going to be the circular muscles. Circular muscles. They will be in circle. So if we have this, the iris, so the circular muscles are going to be like that on the pupil, on the iris. And then we also have what we call the radial muscle. They are found on the iris, like that. They work antagonistically to one another. Okay? So, what is happening during pupillary mechanism? So, I told you that pupillary mechanism, that's where we're talking about the pupil size. Let's say now, for example, we are in a dark room. Ne? We are in a dark room. So, by nature, I think you know that when you're in the dark room, the pupil size is going to increase. Okay, so when the pupil size is going to increase, how does that happen? All right, we are going to talk about the muscles. Okay? The first is the ciliary circular muscles and the radial muscle. Okay? So the first thing that you're going to tell is that the radial muscle is going to contract. Okay, and then we have another muscle. Is the circular muscle. Circular muscle is going to relax. This, it means they work antagonistically. Antagonistic to each other. Yeah? Meaning when the other one contracts, the other one is going to relax. They work in opposite. So when the radial muscle contracts, the circular muscle is going to relax. And then what's going to happen? Now the pupil size will increase. Okay? And when that happens, more light enters. More light enters the eye. Okay, so now we can change the topic or change this and say when someone is in a light or bright room, what's happening? If someone all of a sudden gets inside a bright room, so by nature you know that the pupil size is going to decrease because now we are in the bright area or room. So these things are going to change. Going to change only this, only that. What do I mean by that? I mean the first thing that is going to happen when we're in a bright room, the radial muscle is going to relax. Okay, and as this radial muscle relaxes, the circular muscles are going to contract. Simple, né? And now the pupil size will decrease, which means less light enters the eye. Okay, pretty simple things. So right now let's go to accommodation. Okay, so in accommodation we are going to talk about what we call the ciliary muscle, this one, the ciliary body. We're going to talk about suspensory ligaments, ciliary muscles, ciliary body, suspensory ligaments, the lens. Those are the things that we're going to speak about, or those are the things that we focus on. So now, in accommodation, what are we talking about? In accommodation, we are talking basically about what happens to the eye when you look at something in a long distance or in a short distance. So what do we mean by that? Anything that is less than 6, is it 6 or 5 meters? That anything on 6 meters or 6 meters or 5 meters on or below is going to be regarded as near vision. All right? It's going to be regarded as near vision. Now, anything that is above 6 meters or 5 meters is going to be regarded as long distance. So remember, in long distance, we are going to talk about the ciliary muscles. We're going to talk about suspensory ligament. Suspensory ligaments. We're going to speak about the tension on the lens. Okay. Another thing that we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about a refractive power. A refractive power. What do we mean by refractive power? So let's say light is entering through that way. Okay. As it hits the lens, it's going to refract. Okay. It's going to refract or go via that direction. Is going to refract. That's what we mean when we say refractive power. Okay. Right. So let's say we are viewing an object in a distance. So the object is far, far, far away from us. So when the object is far away from us, the simple things are going to happen is that this ciliary muscle is going to relax. Okay. And then now the suspensor ligaments, they become taut or tight. All right. And then also the tension on our lens is going to increase. Okay. And then our refraction power is going to decrease. Our refractive power is going to decrease, meaning when we are looking at something from a distance, our refractive power, how often will this light refract? It will go down. Okay, simple as that. And then now we are going to see the image clearly. Oh wow, this is so simple, né? Remember, when we talk about accommodation, we talk about the simple things. Simple things. 4 of them. Okay, we talk of the ciliary muscles, suspensor ligament, tension on the lens, and refractive power. And then the last one, it will be this one. You talk about the image. Can you see it clearly or you can't see it? Only. That's it. That's it about this thing. Okay, let's talk also about the diseases. The diseases that come about to be and how to correct the diseases of the eye. So the diseases of the eye, they are very simple. Okay, so let me remove this. Let me go like, okay, fine. So we have short-sightedness and long-sightedness. Yeah? What do we mean by short-sightedness? If something is short-sightedness, yeah? When you look at an object that is here, when we say short-sightedness, this object, when it enters the eye, is going to fall in front of the retina. In front of the retina. That is short-sightedness or myopia. Short-sightedness or myopia. Okay, it's when you look at the object like that, as the object enters the eye, is going to fall in front of the retina. So when it falls in front of the retina, we don't have receptors in front of the retina. We have receptors on the retina. Okay, so it means this image will not be seen clearly. So it's short-sightedness. Now we want to correct this short-sightedness. So what we do is we give this type of individual a lens. This lens is called the convex lens. It's a convex lens. This lens is going to correct this problem where the image falls in front of the retina. After the convex, the image is going to fall on the retina. Okay, all right, let me write it down. So we have short sightedness. Let me write it down. Short sightedness. What is happening? The image falls in front of the what? Of the retina. Man, this person will not see clearly. So we need to correct this. Or how do we treat it? We give this individual a lens that is convexed. We give this person a convex lens. All right. So now, what do we call this in other ways? We call it myopia. Myopia. All right. Sweet. So obviously now, long-sightedness. Long-sightedness. What are we talking about here? It's the pretty opposite of all this. So what are we talking about? In here, now the image, it will not fall in front, but will fall at the back. at the back will fall at the back or behind the retina. How do we correct this? My God, simply just give this person a what type of lens kunje? A concave lens. Doom. Done. Done. So other diseases, we have a cataract, we have astigmatization. So those you'll read on your own, and color blindness and all that, you'll read on your own those ones. I'm going to talk about these ones that are more likely to be exempt. Okay, so yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's from me. That's from me for this week. Yeah, see you when you see me. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you understand. Dango.